And welcome to the Midday Show. I never know when it's going to come. I wait for it, the circle spins. I feel like we're on before it tells me we're on. Does that make sense? You can relate to that.
Well, you're like 5 minutes ago, you're like, you ready? And I said, yeah. And then all of a sudden you start pounding on the desk. There's not even like, hey, here we go, ready, break. There's nothing. All of a sudden you just start drumming.
It's like the old expression single mother, like I cook, I clean, like I do everything. Like I have to set it up, I have to drum roll, I have to make sure it's going, I have to do the audio. Single parent over here.
You know what you don't have to do?
What's that?
You don't have to say, hey, we're going to start. You ready? I'll give it like a 3, like you're just like, all of a sudden, here we go, I'm ready.
Weekend recap, balloons, State of the Union addresses, bathroom therapy. How much time do men spend in the bathroom trying to get away from people?
Do you want this in days or weeks?
Welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm excited to be here. I had a pretty fun-filled weekend. I did some high school basketball. I did the movies, a little bit of everything. Last of Us on Sunday night. It's kicking butt. You haven't watched it yet, have you?
What's it about?
It's pretty phenomenal. You did. What did you do? You did Grammys. I know you did Grammys.
No, I did not watch the Grammys.
Okay,
no.
I thought maybe you watched the Grammys.
Let's see. On Saturday, I went to a high school basketball game.
Okay.
I hit the gym. I took a nap.
I mean, I did all of those things too. I just decided that the public didn't need to.
You hit the
wouldn't
gym?
Be interested.
You hit the gym on?
I did like some laps. Is what I did.
Laps of what?
Well, I live in a loop now, as I like to call it.
Oh, you ran?
I live in the loop. Yes.
You went running?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it running. It was an attempt, but
it was faster than a walk.
It was brisk.
There you go.
I like to call it is brisking a thing.
That's all right.
I guess around the loop.
No, I'm impressed. That's
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Mine was kind of I did do this.
What did you watch? Because we did not go to the same game.
No, I went Montoursville Girls, Shamokin Girls was at Montoursville, and it was they'd already played once and it was close, and it was in the afternoon, and and it was close again. We won. They're both single digit games, whichever one. So those are always fun. You went to the
I went to Loyal Stock Williamsport. Big crowd, good game. Really good game.
Oh, and that was at Lyco.
That was at Lyco. Yes. Yeah,
that's cool.
Good game. It's when Lyco is full, it's a neat place.
When any place is full, it's a neat place.
Yeah. There's some though. Do you agree that some are different? Like some just have something. I don't think Lyco is like this unbelievable facility necessarily, but there's something where they still have the same bleachers, like the same stuff. Like there is kind of like a romantic 80-ish, 90-ish high school basketball game feel when Lycoming fills up.
No, I get you with that.
Yeah.
Because our gym is so big, for the size of our school.
Yeah.
That we at a big crowd home game. Mm-hmm. We're still playing in front of a half-empty gym.
Yeah.
So when we go to someplace smaller that is, mostly full or feels mostly full, and it's louder because it's not as cavernous, it's fun. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. And, usually people like to play at home when they like to play on the road. We like to play at home.
Yeah.
But there is something about an environment that every time a team scores, the place is going to be deafening for a couple seconds.
There's something about the old metal bleacher that runs all the way the length of the wall, I feel like it's 1992 again, and it's high school basketball, and like that is my envision.
No, I get it.
High school basketball, and those are hard to find. Like even you guys now have like the plastic blue, and when you see a gym that has the old metal bleachers that run the length of the wall, that is high school basketball.
Well, and it's funny because you say that because you're a basketball guy. As a guy who played high school football. Nowadays, because so many teams have gone to turf, when you get the old school fields, there's still natural grass. Around here, we've got like Jersey Shore, South Williamsport. You hear the complaining about these fields. Mm-hmm. And like, as I go back, that is what football looks like. Yeah. When the game's over, you're supposed to be dirty. And when you come off turf, there might be brush burns and blood, but there's no dirt.
Sure.
And I have never well, when it rains, it gets sloppy. Yes, that's what football does.
Right.
When it rains, it gets sloppy. So yeah, I'm with you. There is the old school, what we grew up with.
Yeah.
Will never go out of style.
No, it just takes you back. Did you follow the balloon this weekend?
I know we shot it down. I know there's reports now. I didn't, I know this much about it.
Sure.
I just read this morning that they're saying that it happened when Trump was in office.
There's a whole
Trump
bunch
saying
of stuff.
It didn't happen when I was in office. Last I heard, well, it did. It wasn't this prolonged.
Right.
And I'm not even sure in some of the cases they knew it while it was happening.
So I read a report that I believe the report to be true based off of what I saw. That there were 4 different balloons that have gone over the country at some point during different presidencies.
Okay.
So it would not be shocked if there was some over Trump's presidency. I wouldn't be shocked if there were some over Obama's presidency. Like, this sounds like something that they have attempted to do.
Lincoln's.
In the report, what I took the most from it is this was the most structured route that the balloon has ever taken. So essentially, like a lot of times,
it stayed the longest.
Correct.
The other ones, they're like the debates of it. They're like, well, they weren't here very long.
Well, so the report that I'd read is that essentially the previous balloons just followed the stream, like where the wind took it and it went over. And this was the first time that a balloon kind of hung around. If you watch it, how it went over the islands of Alaska and then came down the border of Canada and then scooted over above and then came down Montana. Like, this was a very clear, deliberate route for the majority of the trip. Now, once it was done in Montana, they're making the argument that they just let it go. Like, they just let the stream take it, essentially. But before that, it's very clear that this was deliberate and different from the previous trips that have been reported.
And there's no chance it was just dropping supplies to Katniss.
No chance.
Okay.
There's also, there's different ways to look at this. 50% of me says, I just can't imagine it's like, I'm trying to think how I want to say this. I can't imagine that it's a huge ordeal. I think it matters. Like, personally, I think it mattered, but I don't think it was a huge ordeal that this happened. The flip side of me, though, is like a lot of people were saying, well, it's Montana. And like, what the hell is in Montana? A lot's in Montana. It actually has more American bunkers than any other state in the country. It's where we actually have most of our missile defenses are in Montana. Like, from a military aspect, to have something floating over top of that part of the country is kind of a big deal. So it just comes down to, some people I talk to and they're so furious, and then other people I talk to and they're like, "What does it matter?" And I'm like, I feel like everyone should at least try to meet in the middle. If you're somewhere and you're saying like it wasn't that big of a deal, I vehemently disagree with you.
You know what people don't do?
What don't they do?
Meet in the middle.
I agree with that.
Good luck. Good luck with that. I just love how the people who are not in charge always say what they would do if they were in charge.
Oh, I have no idea what I would do. What do you like? That's a great
Well, that's
point.
the thing. And they're like, why didn't they shoot it down? And I've heard, well, they were going to, but they wanted to wait until it got away from civilian. They didn't want it to crash into a plane, And one of the things they said is, we don't know what information they could have gotten that they don't already have from a satellite.
Sure.
So we're not in danger. So I don't know. But I love in every aspect. You go to every company and the employees will tell you what the boss should be doing and how the boss should handle this. And everybody knows better than the people in charge. And that always cracks me up, because that was my immediate thought. Well, I don't know what I would do.
Right.
Well, I know what I would do. I would ask the experts.
Yeah.
And then the experts make a decision or a recommendation. Like, don't shoot it down now. We think it's drifting here. We'll shoot it down in a day, whatever. And then you go with that, and then you made a terrible decision.
Because you and I are speculating. Like, this is completely speculation of like, what would you and I do?
Yeah, so, they haven't briefed us yet. They will.
They haven't.
They're going to, but they haven't done it yet.
Like, I heard, I said to somebody, the irony of shooting it after it goes over. There is a little bit of irony to that. And I get it. Like, once it's there, it's like, well, we don't know, and we'll wait. But it's like, if you know you wanted to shoot it down, like then like there were lots of chances to shoot
I
it
get
down
that.
before it got like
It's the whole you're fired. Why quit?
yes.
Well, we just fired you, so it doesn't matter. If you
Right, so
quit.
that doesn't count. So I understand those aspects of it. I don't know. And then there were people celebrating once we shot it down. Like it was like a great success that like we took down this Chinese spy balloon. And I don't even know how to celebrate it. Like, I don't know whether to be happy or upset or, I don't know. So I think there were a couple of people that like a year from now, we won't remember the spy balloon. I actually disagree with that. I actually think we're going to remember this because I just think there's a lot of people that it just feels like if you were another country watching or you're somebody outside of the United States, it is kind of like, oh wow, like you can fly something over US space and like they'll just kind of watch it. And to your point, like I don't know the answer.
Right.
Like I don't know what the right answer is, but there is the idea that it's just going to like people are just going to forget it ever happened. I don't know if I fully agree with that.
I'm with you.
I don't think people are going to necessarily forget.
I'm with you. Can I give you my birthday shout out now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Axl Rose, 61 years old.
That was your birthday shout out?
That's it.
I thought you had like a legitimate birthday shout out.
It's his birthday.
Were giving a personal birthday shout out to someone.
It's his birthday. He's 61.
You and Axl are tight.
We're not, but it's still his birthday. His birthday.
He's a guitarist, right?
No, he's the singer. Slash was the guitarist.
Slash was the guitarist?
Yeah.
Axl's a good name for a guitarist. Did they ever think that they got that?
His real name was William. So when he moved to California, he's like, Billy ain't gonna cut it. And,
is that not a guitar move? Wielding the axe or something like that?
Yes, the axe they called it. Yeah. But it's yeah. So anyway, Axl Rose, one of the he was just in my era, like Guns N' Roses was.
Yeah.
And he's also one of the most disliked, like just. He never really his people skills. He was a kid who didn't do well in the sandbox.
But you wanted to wish him a happy birthday.
Oh, listen, from my era, if you are a rock and roll guy from my era,
sure.
You could not have survived without Guns N' Roses.
Okay,
they are one of those bands.
Yes,
welcome to you still hear it. Welcome to the Jungles at every sporting event, at every arena, whatever. Mm-hmm. Sweet Child. Slash is doing commercials now. It's just they were one of a kind. They were one of a kind. And he was the lead singer who broke them up for 2 decades too. But, it is what it is.
No, you really okey-doked me there. Like, I thought you were giving a heartfelt birthday. Like, I thought it was like a family member.
And listen, I don't like, I went to see them in Wilkes-Barre however many years ago.
I thought it was like a Make-A-Wish where some big fan was... Their last wish was that they wanted their birthday on the Midday show. Like I thought we were really doing something.
I was,
there. And then you dropped Axl Rose.
For my ear, and he's 61 years old. Listen, there are lots of people you don't get it.
Yeah.
But my people do.
Okay.
They're like Axl Rose was one of the prominent people of their life, even though they never met him, and he's kind of a jerk. And I don't even know if "kinda" goes in that sentence. He's not been a wonderful guy to his bandmates, to people who shows up late. When I saw him in Wilkes-Barre, they're supposed to go on at 9. They pushed the opening band back an hour because they knew he was going to be late. He walked on stage at 11:13.
Yeah.
And I told my buddy we're leaving at midnight because I had to work the next day. I was like, we're leaving at midnight. Midnight, I was like, yeah, they sound good. We're staying. Yeah. At 1:51, Paradise City started. Okay. 1:51. Yeah. So we got home from Wilkes-Barre at whatever, 3:30. Because Axl couldn't show up on time. It's not that hard.
It's a bummer.
It's not that hard.
It's a bummer.
Although you're a guy that you don't like time constrictions either. But there's a tip-off for basketball games. You're never late for those.
Time is a construct.
It is. But when other people said it, when you're like, show starts at 9.
But I don't show up at, like, if the basketball game tips off at 7:30, I don't show up at 7:30. I show up at tip-off. Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not showing up because of the time. I'm showing up because of the tip-off. Like, I want to be there when the game starts, not so much that I want to be there at 7:30.
Well, I get it, but they're one and the same.
Saying.
If A equals B and A equals C, then B equals C.
In the conversation of time, it's not, but I
whatever.
Get what you're saying.
Happy birthday, Axl. Even though if we could sit down, I would have some things to say. Maybe you should, a little nicer.
That was good. Did you not tell me who the birthday was because you knew I wouldn't be interested? Is that why you didn't tell me it was Axl Rose's birthday?
I know what I'm doing over here. I know.
mean, you still could have told me. So I won't bore you with the balloon anymore. We do have the State of the Union addresses coming up tomorrow. You know my opinion about the State of the Union. I think it's a waste of time. I do. I hate the whole standing and clapping to voice your displeasure. It's archaic. I don't understand it. However, it is coming tomorrow. I do think it's an interesting State of the Union address from the sense of just where we're heading for 2024. Like you said, it's strange times. Like we have a possible incumbent going up against a possible former president. Like it's unique. It's a unique moment for a State of the Union. I will give it that.
You know what I love about the State of the Union? And I'll have to see what else is on. I may be morbidly curious to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
I love one side of the aisle stand, the other side of the aisle. Every now and then there's a couple stragglers who kind of rock the boat, and then the ones where they all stand, and you can kind of tell, like, we got to get up for this one. I almost think there's like a buzzer that somebody's there when because now that Biden's in, it'll be on the GOP side that like, yep, nope, you got to get up for this one.
Well, they have, so I don't know the terminology, but I was watching a thing where there are constituents that they know when X stands, they must stand. Like they are part of the group that
it's very, very choreographed.
So there are people that are sitting there and they are just waiting for the person 3 rows to the right in front of them to stand, and then they will stand when. So it's all a game.
I mean, God forbid it be genuine in any way. Like no.
True. Well, the worst part too is now with all the cameras and everything. I mean, like you're almost put in a predicament where like you just can't be yourself. Like even if you just were like, oh, that sounds decent, and you do this 3 times, and someone catches you clapping for the other side, it's like the end of the world.
You know who knows there's cameras everywhere? Ben Affleck.
Well, yeah, he learned that the hard way at the Grammys. He learned that. We'll talk about that in a second. So I don't know. So Biden's going to give the State of the Union. There's some interesting data here. I didn't say this to you before the show. He gave a rally recently. They chanted 4 more years. We all, I don't know how
4 more years of what?
I don't know. They chanted 4 more years. Here's what's interesting. So an AP poll, 37% of Democrats want Biden to run in 2024. 62% think that he's done, as in like they do not want.
And that's now. That's early 2023. It's only going to get worse.
And that's Democrats.
It's only going to get worse. By the time the election comes around, would you say 37?
37%.
It'll be in the 20s.
AP poll.
It'll be in the 20s. There's no. It'll be a quarter, a fifth, something. 25%. It'll be bad.
It's going to be interesting because do Democrats just assume he can't beat Trump if Trump is the candidate? Like, do you think that's part of it?
I don't think he could beat.
Because he already beat Trump once.
That's a fair question. Could he beat Trump again? I mean, the Republican Party's obviously divided over because Trump lost and because of the polarization. If Biden was even 68, he'd run again. But there's just this aspect of his age that
it's really
there's no way. I've been saying this ever since he won the last time. There's no way he could. I wasn't sure he's finished out a first term. Oh, well, I guess he still hasn't yet. But that would he go far enough that Kamala could take over? But we just talked maybe a week or 2 ago how she has been almost a rumor.
She has missed an opportunity that other, and I don't say this like to be rude, like other women would have. I mean, imagine other political women in her position, how they would have swung for the fences if they were in her shoes.
Absolutely.
And Kamala has completely just disappeared.
I mean, yes, she has been so quiet. And maybe, I was just thinking this, maybe the first lady is in a different position. But when you think all the way back to like Nancy Reagan, which you don't remember Nancy Reagan and Hillary Clinton and even Michelle Obama, like the first ladies were prominent. In not just, Nancy Reagan had to say no to drugs, and Hillary was very active in health. I think Michelle Obama was a lot like Melania. They were more like socially, they weren't as politically active, but they were front and center, I guess, for lack of a better term. And you're right that Kamala has just been quiet. She couldn't be more quiet, almost. So that's fascinating.
It's
so,
just weird. It's just in a world where the whole prospect is to advance. Like the whole point of being in politics is to climb and try to seek power. And that's the world we live in, and that's what politics try to do. And for her to have this just open door and just completely I just almost avoid if anybody in her position did a half decent job right now, are they not like the front runner? Are they not the leader?
Is there any chance? Yes. And
my
immediate thought is yes. Is there any chance, because Biden's numbers were so poor so early,
she's trying to distance
that
herself from it?
that her handler and the party said, listen, you just stay quiet. We'll ride this out. We'll see where it goes. If his numbers climb, you can jump on at the end. If his numbers don't climb, you want to stay away.
Maybe. It doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't.
But it's a fair point. But it's not. That's not how it feels.
And it would be, as you said, because she's in a prominent position. You can be a good offensive coordinator even if they think the head coach isn't doing well.
Sure.
She could do well, even if.
For me, it's like the lack of the attempt, which is kind of what you were just hinting at. I just can't imagine other politicians, if they were in her position, they wouldn't be at least and listen, maybe you fall on your face, maybe you're not good at it, maybe it just doesn't work. But for me, it's just the non-attempt.
Yes.
It's just the disappearance of
you got the ball, take a shot.
It's really wild. So that'll be interesting. The polling says, the polling being down is interesting too, because I had said to you, before the midterms, I actually thought, as a Republican, I actually thought Biden and his team did an incredible job leading up to the midterms.
They were improving.
Of making it, they just kind of made it seem as if the boat was going somewhere. Right. And so I'm personally a little surprised at the numbers from the Democrats. Now it's polling. You and I agree, polling is not great in the 2020s, but I was surprised at the number.
I think it's going to get worse. And I'm not sure when people make those decisions, they base it on numbers or they base it on, anything economically and he's not going to get younger. And that's what's working against him.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. I wanted to talk to you kind of
I can't wait for this one.
Another study. These are the important studies.
Absolutely. We cover really stuff that you need to know.
So according to Men's Magazine, a third of British men admit. I'm not going to be able to do this.
Oh, wait a minute. We interviewed British people?
Oh, no. The poll, there's multiple studies here. Just hold on.
Okay. All right.
And even if we did, what's your point? What do you have against British men?
I want to know what American men said. I don't care what British men said.
What do you have against are you anti-British? I'm going to get you canceled before the show is over.
Is it bloke? Is that a buddy? Isn't that?
I think so.
That's not an insult, right?
You have more experiences with this than
I think bloke is a pal, a chum, whatever. Yeah. No, I don't. Okay. Whatever. They don't know the difference between third down and fourth down. How can you respect them as a coach?
A third of British men admit to hiding in their bathrooms to get some peace and quiet, according to a study. There's also a study done by Puberty.
By who?
It's called Puberty, Pubity.
Not puberty, Pubity.
Yeah.
Okay. When you said that, I was like, wait, what magazine are you reading? All right, got it.
Anyway, researchers polled 1,000 men. They found that they spend a total of how much time in the bathroom every year?
Just hiding.
Just hiding.
Not actually, I got to go take a shower or something.
Correct.
Hiding in the bathroom. Okay, so let's break this down. There's essentially 50 weeks in a year. There's not, but I realize there's 52, but it makes the math easier. So if you hid for a couple minutes a day, let's say,
talk out loud.
Let's say you hid for a half hour a week. Okay, so there's 50 weeks in a year. So that's 25 hours over a full day. I'm going to say, and I'm going to guess it's a little more than that, because I'm going to say something like It's less than a week, but it's a few days, like 2 or 3 days.
Okay, so I agree with you. I actually think yours might even be low. Like I would have guessed probably a week or more. Like
Okay.
I think people nowadays with their phones and with everything, I think people are hiding out in the bathroom, on the toilet constantly. This study says that out of 1,000 men, 7 hours a year in the bathroom.
Liars.
I think it's low.
Absolute liars.
I think it's low. Unless what they're saying is like if you have a half an hour bathroom trip, they're saying like half of it is using the bathroom and half of it isn't, because we know that that's usually not the case either.
I would need to know the study, because
Uh-huh.
like now, I have no reason to hide in the bathroom. I have nothing to hide from. People with young kids,
Yeah.
or 7 hours is no way.
I think there's people who just don't even realize they're still sitting there.
Well, that's the thing.
I
You
think
start scrolling through your phone,
correct.
and all of a sudden you look and you're like, oh my gosh, look what time it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
The peace and quiet thing. I think that's a real thing. I think people actually go to the bathroom to try to get away from other people in their house.
Oh, without a doubt.
Do you think that happens?
I can remember being married with young kids, and I remember mowing the grass was a fascinating activity. I loved it. First of all, especially in the spring, because it rains so much. When you do get to mow the grass, it means it's a nice day, because you don't mow the grass in the rain.
Right.
So you're outside in the sunshine, and it's right after the long winter, whatever. So just being out in the sunshine, there's something to that. But you got the mower going, you got kids running around, they come up and you're like, I can't hear you. And the wife is like, well, he's doing something, so I can't bother him. So you get an hour of, like, you can't do anything fun, but you just get an hour of no one's going to bother me. No one's going to ask me any stupid questions. No one's going to complain of what I'm doing. Because when your kids are young, a lot of times you sit on the couch for an hour watching, and you got all kinds of chaos.
I'm surprised your wife never tried to get on the mower.
No, she did not. That was
avoid the stupid questions.
It is. I'm telling you, and there are people that just there. I think something. I bet it would be a lot like motorcycle riders. That there's something also therapeutic about the hum. That
Maybe.
You just. I would bet, and there's no way to do this. I would bet that riding a motorcycle, I'm not a motorcycle rider, but would be less enjoyable if it was silent, as opposed to the hum of the motor. I really, because there is something about it's like sleeping with a fan on. Okay. There's something about it that it's constant and it drowns things out, but it's not, I don't know. I think there's something to that.
Interesting. Brad says he thinks it's over. He says no shy. He says it's got to be more than 7 hours.
It has to be.
That's not good for Brad's fiance. That Brad is that sure that it's over 7 hours.
It might
not
be
a good thing.
It might be better for Brad's fiance. Let's be honest.
Brad also says it doesn't matter if you're late if you're great at what you do. Going back to the time conversation.
I disagree. I disagree.
Speaking of
tonight, when Duke tips off at Miami, if like their best player shows up late and he misses the first half, I think it matters. I think it matters to the outcome of the game.
Well, I was going to bring. It's kind of like the Kyrie thing. Like Kyrie's so great that teams keep wanting him, and he keeps getting paid, and he keeps getting traded, and everyone's willing to take a chance on Kyrie because he's good at what he does.
It's not. It's because they're going to fix him. They're going to get through and make the connection that no one else has been able to make.
You think so?
No.
That's
what they think.
There's no chance. He's a fascinating individual.
Yes, he is.
And he's going to get another. Someone's going to pay him 4 years, $200 million.
No way.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You're wrong.
And I'm right, because here's what's going to happen. He's going to go to Dallas, and if he's even half decent for Dallas, people are just going to go, oh, well, like they just had the whole anti-Semitic thing in Brooklyn, and it was fractured, and they couldn't, like, it was like if you put Kyrie in like a good spot and he's happy, and I'm telling you, and there's going to always be 2 or 3 teams desperate enough. The Lakers would take Kyrie in a heartbeat. They offered draft picks and stuff for him just like Dallas did. I mean, someone's going to pay the guy $200 million. If you're talented enough and good enough at what you do, someone will pay you to do it.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Now the more I think about it, you're right. Because the guy who's making the agreement isn't writing the check.
Correct. That's some of it.
So you got a general manager who's trying to save his job. He's trying to make a splash, and he tells somebody else, "Hey, buy this."
Yeah. And as much as I dislike Kyrie Irving, he is unbelievably good at what
He's a talent. Oh, there's no doubt about it.
When you watch him with a basketball, it is unbelievable the things that he can do with it.
He is a talent.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. What else did I have here? I had one other thing.
So how much do you hide in the bathroom? That's the question.
How much do I hide in the bathroom? I don't hide. I lose track. I'll be sitting there and I'm on my phone, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God,
if you walk into the bathroom and you're like, I don't have my phone, do you go find your phone?
No, I've had but here's the other thing too. We keep books on the back of the toilet.
Okay.
We readers essentially.
Okay.
So then I just grab the reader and.
What year is it?
Same thing. You don't have bathroom reading?
1950 what?
Time out. You don't keep bathroom reading material?
Yeah, it's on my phone.
I know, but you don't always have your phone.
I do always have my phone. If I walk into the bathroom and I do not have my phone, I go get it.
But we've also talked about this too. You're addicted and I am not. We've talked about that.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so as a non-addicted person, if there's a book on the back of the toilet, I'm good. I don't go back for the phone. I will usually just grab the book, read it. We've got some good ones too. We have quote books, things like that, quick hitters. You know what I mean? It's good.
I have that too. It's called clickbait.
What's that? Yeah, but if you didn't have your phone, you'd be sitting there I don't know what to do.
So that's why I go get my phone.
Honestly, you know what we should do? It would be great content. We should, for a day, you shouldn't be allowed to have your phone. We should watch you go a day without your phone. I don't think you'd know what to do.
It would be different.
When's the last time, when I was, the last couple of times I've been up north at the farm and stuff like that, I've told you before, the phone doesn't even come out of the car. A lot of times, it'll stay in the car. And
I know, because I text you.
Okay. When do you think the last time you honestly went a substantial amount of time, substantial, when do you think the last time you went 8 to 12 hours without your phone was? Sleep.
Not counting sleeping?
Sleep doesn't count. I mean, legitimately went 8 to 12 hours without your phone. I don't think you're capable.
Right now, awake? No, I'm not.
I don't think you're capable of doing it.
I will say this. There are times, if I'm riding my bike in the summer and I'm going for, there are times I will leave my phone at home there is a comfort to that because I'm riding. So I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't, it's hard to check texts and stuff so to go for an hour or whatever, that is. But the problem with that is then I don't know what time it is because I don't have my phone.
Because you don't have a watch.
Because I don't have a watch.
Yeah, but see, I don't care about time, and you do. So
yes, most people care about what time it is.
I'm in the minority.
But that's probably the one time that I will actually do something.
That'd be good content. To see, just to watch you try to go through a day without it, just to see how you function.
No, when I coach a game, I don't do it. It's in my pocket, but I don't look at it.
But realistically, hour and a half.
But it's an hour and a half.
I mean, it
is an hour and a half.
I mean, to watch you for 8 hours try to be without your phone would be fascinating. I'm not saying you'd start shaking, but it would be just to see what your brain would do and how you would function would be. It would be
interesting. I'm one of these people in the movie theater. I check my phone,
which is during the show you check your phone.
Yeah,
I would out of 10 shows, I'll check my phone once or twice out of 10. You check your phone literally during the show, every show,
all the time.
So it's it's not a bad addiction, but it's not I watch you sometimes and I'm like, well, you are addicted for sure. I'm addicted to soda, but
no, I'm with you. I am.
There's worse vices, I guess, is what I'm saying, for sure.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. Did anyone text? Did I get it? Am I missing anything?
If you have ADD, it is, it's almost impossible to not be addicted to the phone if you have ADD, because it's filling all that for you. It's just like a time distance. It's just filling the space for you. Instead of like looking up at the ceiling, it's already doing it for you. It's already finding the thing for you to wander away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yes. And a lot of it's just habit. Like when it sits here now, it's dark because I haven't hit it in so long.
Yeah. Now
so there'll be times I tap it just to see if I miss
something.
anything.
Maybe I missed something.
Maybe I missed something.
Maybe something happened. You're itching right now.
You just told me a couple minutes ago, hey, did you see the text or the message that was just sent in our group thing? And I was like, I didn't see it. So you saw it before I did. You just said it before the show.
Oh, but that's our Google. That's our Gmail. That's like our work thing.
It was work. Yes.
Yeah, that's different. That's not like
well, I don't know, but that's where.
I did see Knock at the Cabin this weekend.
Yes.
M. Night Shyamalan, I wanted to tell you this stat. It's his 4th #1 movie in a row. I said to you, I don't know if people realize, like people who enjoy movies and TV shows, entertainment, I don't know if they realize, A, how difficult that is to have 4 movies in a row hit #1. And B, if they really understand how successful he is. Because I think there's this idea of like, yeah, this lull after his first couple of movies and everything else. M. Night Shyamalan is an unbelievably successful American director. And 4 in a row is, I mean, I could Google it real quick, but I personally couldn't, outside of like the Camerons of the world, I could not come up with like another director.
Here would be my thoughts. Because yes, he is a fascinating guy. He did The Sixth Sense kind of brought him to brilliance. Mm-hmm. But then he had some clunkers.
Sure.
What are the 4? Do you have the 4 in front of you?
So the 4 were, he did Split. Do you remember that one? So he did Split and Glass, which both hit #1. They were about the 23 different personalities and all that stuff. It's a little bit superhero-ish, I guess, is a better way to.
Oh, Split was the multiple personality.
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
I remember that.
And then Old hit #1 on its release.
Did you see Old?
I did. Well, no. You told me about Old. I saw the different clips of it. I know what happens. Like I knew the ending, and for that reason, I was kind of out on it. And then Knock at the Cabin recently just hit #1 as well.
Okay, here's my thought.
Okay.
Here's my thought on Knock at the Cabin. And now that I'm thinking of these, because I did see Old, I think I saw, what was the other one? Glass. Glass was a spinoff of Unbreakable.
Yes.
Because it was about, and I think that one had kind of grown in legend. That was cool. I would say, without having seen it, the reason that Knock at the Cabin went to #1 is when it was released. Because nobody releases blockbusters in January. Mm-hmm. It's just not. It's, the holiday season, the summer blockbuster. This is a lull time. Mm-hmm. So were they, because none of those movies that you mentioned were movies that people were like, they weren't top 10 of the year. They weren't, at least I don't think so. Mm-hmm. So were they strategically placed?
Well, this would be my like pushback, right? If that were the case, why is every other movie company and director just letting M. Night Shyamalan do that? Like, to me, that's too convenient. Like, there's too many analytics and too much money involved that if they knew that if we just released a movie this weekend, there's too many other people that wouldn't be doing the same thing and being successful at it. Do you get what it's too much of a coincidence that the whole movie industry is just allowing M. Night Shyamalan to have these weekends in the doldrums of winter where he just dominates. There has to be something more, whether it's the movies he's picking to make, the marketing behind it. Like, there has to be something deeper than just M. Night puts his movies out at the right time.
I mean,
there's too many other film companies and directors that would look at it and go, well, crap, like, I'll just do that. And then it's just too much of a.
I mean, to a degree, yes. Mm-hmm. He took a book that was, I assume it was a New York Times bestseller.
Yes, it was. It was on the list.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So he takes a book that's incredibly well known. You read it and loved it. Mm-hmm. And then it comes out. So yes, he directed this. Mm-hmm. So I understand, like, it's his project. Mm-hmm. But does he get the credit for it? Or someone else came up with the story idea? He found a story idea that he liked. He's like, I can turn this into a movie. And
yeah, from a popularity standpoint, you are correct. there's this aspect of it too. Certainly it's up his alley.
It is
like
in
the
his
content.
yes.
However, I'll go one step further in saying a lot of people wouldn't touch this book because of the contents and how you would have to to make the movie is not simple. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of there's a gay couple in the movie as well. Like there's a lot of pieces to this that if you're a director and you're just trying to make like a simple movie, this is not the movie for you. Like this was a challenge. This was a tackle to take on. And so I think for that reason, like to your point, like, sure, I think it helped with the popularity, but like there's a reason no one else would touch it. Like, there's a reason no one else wanted to try to.
You don't know that no one else tried, but be that as it may, yes, he does not do simple movies. He has the twisty. There's an understood complexity to his movies.
Back up for 10 seconds. There's a gay couple. There's human violence. There's torture, right?
Right.
There is a young child who, depending on which one you watch, may or may not be brutalized. I'm telling you right now, no one wanted to touch this movie. Like, nobody was looking at this and going like, listen, no one read that book and said to themselves like, I think I can make this work.
You read it, but you read it and loved it. That's why it's.
But I'm not a movie. I didn't read it and think to myself like, you know what this?
You don't think Rob Zombie said I could have made that?
This would be a really fun flick to make.
Well, no, he's not. He doesn't make fun flicks. But it was.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I get it. I do get what. I'm not saying that he sucks. I'm not saying
you're
that.
saying that.
But there is a kind of a sweet spot, and I think he's figured out a formula to success. And I think we know. The thing I was going to say shtick, but shtick kind of waters it down. There is a mystery. It is never a simple story. Just follow along, lighthearted. Like it's intelligent. He does intelligent stuff, and but yeah, I think it would be interesting. There's a reason if they think it's going to be huge, it comes out for Christmas. There's a reason they held this till the first week of February.
Totally. I agree with. I think it goes back to kind of how I started the conversation of like, I just don't think people understand he's one of our best American directors because of a lot of what you just discussed. Is like, well, it was a book and it was already popular and it's like, and it releases at this moment in time where there's nothing else to compete with. And all those things are true. It's just funny that because of that, I don't think people view him as like one of our best directors, but like, again, then why don't other people do it? Why don't other people take the book and adapt it? Why don't other people release their movie at that time and beat him? Like, all I'm saying is,
I have the answer.
Go ahead.
A lot of the business stuff about it, I'll bet he doesn't care. That he is the art for the art, and like, I can do, whether it's a challenge, whether it's whatever. And he like, this is what I'm making. I don't care when you release it. This is the project I want to work on. And it's probably for him, now that he has reached the echelon that he has, they're probably all just passion projects. And he's not looking to make the summer blockbuster because he doesn't care to make a superhero film or that he's going to tell his stories. And his stories are, I think there were some signs. I think everybody saw Sixth Sense. I think everybody saw, Unbreakable kind of. But a lot of the other ones
at the time was bigger.
I liked The Village. Nobody else did.
I enjoyed The Village.
I thought The Village was very clever. But there is a intellectual, like, you got to be ready to think when you're watching one of his movies, and not everybody's ready to do
that. The interesting one about this, and obviously everyone always says this, the story itself is much better in the book because I said to you, the book is open-ended. It's very difficult to have open-ended movies. Usually when you hit it, it works, but it's very rare.
Most of the time I'm with you.
That was your thought, not mine. And I agree with it. Because of the way they have to do the movie, and I understand why they changed the things they did. The book itself, I told you before, like, it's philosophical. It asks questions about self-love versus world love. It asks questions about society and belief. There's a lot of questions that the book leaves open-ended that are fascinating. I enjoyed the movie. I liked the book better. I just think I think we need to move past this idea of like M. Night Shyamalan is not a like B.A. director. Like he is a B plus A level director. I mean, it is.
This would be one of the, let me try to think of a bad one. Like Jeff Beck just passed away, who is a legendary guitarist. I know he was in, I don't even know. Was he in the Yardbirds? Like, I know who he was. I remember John Bon Jovi's making a solo album back in the whatever, in the 80s, 90s. And they said, who would you like to play guitar now that you're not using your band? And he said Jeff Beck. So this guy's a legend among legends. But if you ask me right now, can you play what song did he play on? I don't know if I can name one.
Sure.
But to guitarists, he was an upper echelon. I'm sure when M. Night Shyamalan, how do you say his last name?
M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. When he in the circle of that circle, he is revered. That everybody says he's up there with Tarantino and with all the immortals of our time. But you're right. To society, but I think that there's been a hit and miss. Did you ever see Lady in the Water?
It's awful. I saw it in the theaters when I was younger.
Awful.
It's really bad.
There's been some. He had, was it called Home?
There was one called Devil that was really bad. There are certainly clunkers. Like, I'm not here to say that. But I think it's one of those things where it's like he just started so high, and it just slowly kind of kept going down. And so I think now that is people's perception. Like when they think of him as a director on the down. And so my whole point is kind of like, you can't have 4 #1 movies in a 6-year time span, and like not like, how are you not? I mean, you can't be down. Like, you can't be on the downswing. It's impossible.
And I'll tell you this: I saw Old, and I didn't think it was great, but I watched the whole thing, and I wasn't about to turn it off. Like I didn't think it sucked.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I'm glad you brought this one up. But he is one of those people. I heard it, or I either heard it or read it. I don't remember, but there was an interview with Bruno Mars, and he was, oh my God, what's Bruno Mars's biggest hit?
He's got a lot of them. Now Was Your Man. That's the biggest one right now because of the Miley Cyrus song.
No,
because of Flowers.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't matter. Do we?
No, it doesn't matter. But he named his biggest hit, and as soon as I Google through it, I'll tell you. He was like, "Am I ever gonna, like, I'm 24 years old or 28 years old?" And he's like, "Have I done the best I'm ever gonna do? Am I gonna spend my whole life?" And when you come up with 6 Cents, right away, like, was that his first movie?
That was his first like actual movie, like on the big screen.
All right, I'm Googling this because it's bothering me.
I knew. You're so funny. You get it locked in your brain. You can't let it go.
I can't let it go. It's his most famous one.
But it has nothing to do with the context of the story you're telling me. Well, I guess it does. You're saying that's the one that he was referring to.
Yes. Top 10 Bruno Mars songs. It's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one. They put them in order. When I Was Your Man was 7. That's wrong. Just the Way You Are 5. The Lazy Song.
Is it Uptown Funk?
Uptown Funk. Yes. That's it. And I just got to #1, and there it is. Uptown Funk. Yeah, because he gave an interview. He's like, I already did Uptown Funk. Am I ever going to do any better than that?
Sure.
And that would be an interesting, because I don't know how old he is now. He was certainly in his 20s when he did Uptown Funk. So that would kind of be and for like an athlete, I'm not sure that's totally uncommon, because an athlete's, 20s and 30s, depending on the sport. But for an artist or someone creative, or like, my best idea was when I was, so that would be a weird thing.
Bogue says he's no Christopher Nolan or the Russo brothers. He's not Nolan, though. The last couple with Nolan, he has Oppenheimer coming out. Have you heard about this? He's doing Oppenheimer, obviously about the bomb and putting it together. It's supposed to be really, really good. But Nolan, the last 2 he's done have kind of flopped. They have flopped from the standard of Christopher Nolan, if that makes sense.
I would have to see a list of Christopher Nolan.
He did his Tenet was one of his last ones.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, it it wasn't bad, but it was really, really difficult to follow.
He's an interesting dude, isn't he?
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Well, he's really interesting from the sense like he does projects on scales that are just like I don't want to say they're uncomprehendable, but like as a director, he tackles movies where the scale is larger than life and it's so big, and he figures out ways to make them manageable, and that's what makes him so impressive.
Okay. I'm pulling up the list. It's not coming quickly. It's not helping me. All right.
Anything else?
I got a blank white the page here. If the page does not redirect automatically.
He did Inception. He did Interstellar.
See, I loved
those types of
Inception.
movies. Mm-hmm.
I thought Inception was aggressive isn't the right word. You had to be with it with Inception.
Well, that's what I mean. He takes
like he
takes ideas that are so beyond the scope of just like this is the scene and there's two people. Like, I mean, these are ideas and concepts where to actually put them in a manner in which people can understand them. There's very few people who can do what Christopher Nolan does.
Okay, so here I'll give you his last 10 years. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh, he's executive producer. Whatever. Wait, why am I not seeing? Oh, this is the producer. Where do I get to director? All right. Sorry. Tenet, Dunkirk, which is good. Quay. Oh, it's a short. Interstellar. Interstellar was interesting. The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, The Dark Knight, The Prestige. That was the one
Prestige is really good.
That was really good. Batman Begins. He loves him some Batman. Short for Insomnia. Was that Robin Williams?
Yeah, Insomnia is good.
I haven't seen it in a long time. Following Doodleberg. Yeah.
None of that matters. Christopher Nolan's very, very good. I would say that the Oppenheimer movie really matters for him because I liked Dunkirk. There were people who did not like it because of the way it hopped.
Was that the one about the boats that went over?
It's the one about the boats.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's on 3 different time scales as you're watching it. So one is like the full day, one is like condensed, and then one's all happening like within an hour. And there were people that really struggled with the concept or really struggled watching it. Tenet was the same way. Like Tenet got a lot of backlash because like it was just like it was a chore to try to like figure out and follow it all. Oppenheimer is really important for him because to have 3 in a row where people are just kind of like, this is work. Like this is like it's too.
Well, I think that's what. Yes, I think that's what works against him because so much, especially when you're watching at home, that it's just, I don't want to say it's background, but it's supposed to be like a relaxation. And that's what with M. Night Shyamalan, like you've got to be mentally.
I would go this is a step further though, because like Inception was work, but when it's good, you'll do it. Like people will work to watch a movie if it's worth it. So like people watched Inception, people watched Interstellar because they felt like it was worth it. The thing they were watching was valuable. I don't know if people felt the same way about Dunkirk, and I don't know if people felt the same way about Tenet. And so if you're going to make people work and the content and the thing that they're watching isn't worth it, they're not going to do it. And that's why Oppenheimer is important.
I get it. I never saw Tenet, but I liked the other 3, so it's hard for me to criticize because obviously I did the work. While I was engrossed,
Watch Tenet. It's worth it just because of this conversation.
Okay.
Watch Tenet and you'll fully understand why people felt the way they did. So yeah, I think he's incredible. I think he's the only one who can do what he does. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's great you can do it as long as people want to keep seeing it. And if you're making them work too hard and the payout isn't there in their minds, all of a sudden is what you do valuable anymore?
I mean, because he's done so many Batman movies, obviously he's good at it. The crowd obviously responds. It would be interesting to have like Brett, who is a comic book superhero guy, say what he thinks of. Because now there have been so many Batman movies. There have been so many Spider-Man movies.
What you say that, but like what Brett and I would tell you is the Christopher Nolan movies are the Batman movies. There's a huge faction of people where nothing exists outside of the Christopher Nolan movies.
All right.
Like the Ben Affleck stuff doesn't exist.
How about the George Clooney?
It doesn't exist. Like the Nolan trifecta of Batman is the Batman.
But Jack Nicholson was.
No.
See, you were too young to appreciate.
I just told you Ben Affleck's doesn't count.
But Jack Nicholson's does.
It does no, and neither does Clooney's. They don't count.
He was the Joker, and Prince did the.
So you didn't want the answer? Is that what you're saying?
Oh well,
you asked the question.
I disagree with your answer. How about the Did you watch any of the? I watched the very, very end of the Grammys. Did you watch it at all?
I watched none of the Grammys because The Last of Us is the greatest thing on television right now.
She won best song of the year, but Lizzo. Is that?
Yeah.
She dedicated it to Prince.
Okay.
And said that like she wanted to make music that made people feel good, that was positive, and for a while that she said nobody else was doing it and nobody liked what I was doing.
Sure.
And then, but it was fascinating because Prince has been dead for a while now, 7 or 8 years.
Well, see, I don't think you know the context though of, I'm 90% sure she's from Minnesota.
Could be.
No, I'm pretty sure. So I'm sure there's a whole, it'd be like living in Bucks County and liking Pink, like it's
right.
Like, I think there's
I get what you're saying.
Growing up connection, being there, that whole thing.
Probably.
Yeah.
She also, I thought it was funny too. She thanked Beyonce because she said, and I don't remember what song Beyonce did, but it was, and she was like, in 5th grade, my sister or somebody snuck me out of school so we go to a concert or whatever. And I know that like Beyonce's not young. I mean, she's been around a while, but if she's like, you were in 5th grade sneaking out to see me and now you're winning awards, you're like, thanks for aging me. But it was fun. I will say that she gave one of the things for me that's painful about award shows is the speeches can be so bad.
Sure.
And once she was a little excited because she won. It took her about 20 seconds to get it together.
Yeah.
And then she was incredibly eloquent. And I thought she did a really good. Now she got bleeped a few times. So she was also a little vulgar, apparently.
Sure.
But I thought her speech was and it wasn't read like, I know people, she could have memorized but she was just talking. And I thought it was really, really good.
Yeah. No, she's a really interesting person. I saw Harry Styles won Album of the Year.
I saw that too.
It is you won't be able to relate to this, but it is the first time somebody has won the Album of the Year that I do not get it. Like, I don't understand why people like it. I don't understand why they think it's good. I've said to you before, there's a lot of genres I don't like, but when I hear like a really good variation, I'm like, oh, this is good. Like I wouldn't listen to it in the car, but like what they're doing is something other people can't do. And I listen to Harry Styles and I'm like, this is not special. Like this is, and I'm not saying he's bad. Like I'm not saying he's a bad singer. I'm not saying he's a bad pop musician. Like none of those things. There is nothing uniquely setting apart about Harry Styles in that album that merits like winning Album of the Year. I don't understand it.
Guess what I checked out of the library the other day?
What'd you do?
Fall Out Boy.
Did you?
Yeah.
Which one?
Greatest Hits.
Oh, nice. What'd you think?
About 4 notes into the first song, I was like, well, I know this one.
Yeah.
Then,
I told you.
So I haven't heard the whole thing.
Okay.
But it is.
You know a lot of Fall Out Boy. You just don't even know it.
I knew it without even, because I was on the fence. Because you always say that. You would know it. Mm-hmm. Literally about 4 notes in.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know this song.
Yeah.
So there we go.
They're fun. I enjoy them.
They're better than I expected.
Yeah. And they are, for today, a lot of their stuff is rock. Like I know for like your generation, that's not rock. But for now, like that's as close to rock as you're going.
They're not AC/DC, but they're a rock band.
Yes.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh,
well, so it's fun.
Thanks for doing that. I get nervous about you because sometimes I'm afraid that you forget that new music is being made every day. I get nervous.
Oh no, I know. And from all that I hear, it sucks.
I get nervous for you.
But no, I checked it out and it's better than there's another Blink 182 would be a band that I should look into a little bit.
Probably. I like Blink. That was the first, I think I told you, that was the first CD I ever bought without my parents' permission.
Did you just out yourself? Do they know?
I'm pretty sure they know.
They know by now.
Because my mom, well, the cover had the sexy nurse on the cover. And I'm pretty sure my mom, when I was younger, my mom found the album cover. So like this was.
And she was unhappy?
She knows. Well, I mean, she wasn't happy for sure. But like it's, it is what it is.
Deep down, though, she was happy.
She liked Adam's song. She didn't dislike Blink-182. I think it was just like the messaging of just like at that time, like they were tatted. Oh my God, can you imagine? And like they had the sexy nurse thing and like that whole thing. The thing white parents used to get worried about in the 90s.
I just had this conversation with a buddy of mine on the phone the other day. And like now, whenever any of this comes up, all I can think of is I have no idea what my kid has seen on his phone, what he's seen on his friends' phones. Like, who knows?
Sure.
So the Blink-182 album cover, least of my concerns.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I get it. Thank you guys for watching the Midday Show. Be sure to go to NorthcentralPa.com for all of your local news. One more. You want to give one more birthday shout out just in case?
No, I did want to mention this. Penn State dropped a tough one yesterday. It's one that would have helped them to get. They lost in Nebraska, but they're still having a good year. Yeah. Penn State basketball is having a really good year, and they kind of need a couple more down the stretch to get to the dance.
Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I hope they get in. They're fun to watch.
Yes.
I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Later.